The first Scorn book came as a direct result of the events that happened in my real life when I was on a cruise with a love interest. That didn't end the way I'd planned it, so when I came back, two fundamental shifts happened in my life. One, it forced me to create a plan for myself personally called Operation Spice, and it gave me the event necessary to reignite the writer's fire, the spark within me, and thus that's why it came about. That's easy. Of all the writings that I've done over the years, this was the only book, this book and this book only, not even the other volumes. The production was low. It didn't need special effects, it didn't need many characters. The plot, though it revolved around an external situation, only my character, my brother's character, drove home the story. So, you know, budget-wise, there is no budget. It was feasible to adapt Scorned 1 to be our first project as a learning experience. Very, very, very difficult. The simple fact is the Scorned testimonials, because we couldn't translate the majority of the scenes in the book, the flashbacks even 1940-something with our ancestor, most of the mythology in the book had to be taken out. About 50% of the flashbacks had to be taken out. We didn't have the women in the flashbacks to play the roles in this movie. Even though some did volunteer, we chose not to. To make up the missing content, we decided to enlist our friends and coworkers to be testimonial women, to interview them based on questions and to structure the movie based on their answers about the female condition. And instead of using the flashbacks in the book, we were going to use these interviews to draw out the female condition. The problem with using your friends and your coworkers is it's a volunteer cast. Nobody's getting paid, they have their own life, so scheduling people to come in and to help us with this project, you know, it prolonged the process longer and longer. It was supposed to be 2 weeks for interviews, lasted 2 months. Actually, as we speak, we're still filming interviews for the Scorn testimonials, and it's funny that the Scorn sabbatical will probably be completed before the Scorn testimonials, which started back in July. Scorned Volume 1, The Female Condition, comes off very anti-women heavy at first. Throughout the book, as the boys discuss what's going on, you realize we are trying to prove a cyclical phenomenon. And there's a cycle between the two genders. Basically that it's not any one gender's fault for why there's issues and why, you know, good women and good men, they get hurt and then they turn into bad ones and meet new ones and turn them into bad ones. If you look at any research or any library at all, when you look in there and you see the volume of how crappy guys are, those kind of novels, and then how crappy women are, the levels are different. And you can blame that on the fact that men don't want to read about how their gender gets hurt. But at the same time, you could also say that women are too hard on our gender, saying that it is our fault, and because it's our fault and our behavior, that's why we didn't behave like that to you. We try to prove, you know, otherwise. It's both, and you need to stop the cycle, you know, one person at a time. It's good and bad. It's rather simple. It's good because you have your creative mind with you at basically all hours. You can call upon them right after work. You can ask questions. You can spitball. You can have your creative meetings. You know, there is no, all right, well, I have my own life here and I have my own. No, we're in the same boat, so it's easy to just say, hey, what are you doing? I'm in the bathroom. Listen, I got a question for you. I'm listening. It works. On the other hand, because we are brothers, we bicker like brothers. You know, which is what usual brothers do. We'll take things a little bit more personal because we're brothers. We don't have that, okay, well, I'm done with you, you know, working on this movie, I'll see you later. No, all we do is wrap up at Applebee's and then go home together and then, you know, separate into the bedrooms. You know, we don't have that time apart to contemplate our ideas. And then, of course, you know, he has his own focus in the movie, and I have my own focus, basically, that, you know, he does the developing and the web stuff, and you know, I'm doing the video editing, filming, and directing for the most part. I need him for my filming. He needs me for his web stuff, and it's just, but it just worked out thus far. We got 2 movies ish, sort of, a little bit. I love you. The concept of the Scorn sabbatical, of course, like everything else in the filmmaking process, has evolved. Originally, it was supposed to be literally a 5-minute short that was supposed to appear before the scorned testimonials. You know, mocking the two brothers. Oh, they're so hurt. But then it evolved into, okay, well, let's create a story, set it between volumes 2 and 3. That even though the brothers learn about the female condition, that they're ready to help other guys, they're still not sure. They're still not the men that they're going to be in volume 3. And that even though you know what you want to do, but you're still human, you're still going to suffer from stuff, you're still going to be not so sure about yourself. And then we added a whole nother aspect to it by randomly interviewing anybody we could. If it was women, we asked them 5 questions of the female condition that you'll see in the testimonials. And if it was men, we said, well, we have the 9-word promo. Let's incorporate that, and let's do the 9 words, you know. We'll get them and say, hey, do 9 words. And now it's become a comedy, satire, prose, and a documentary. I hope so. I would like to think so. The only problem with that is that unlike, you know, book 1 and movie 1, and then I guess you can call this movie 1.5, The Sabbatical, the other books, they deviate from the main characters of Jason and Christopher. We have a significantly less role in volume 2, and almost no role in volume 3. That requires us to have an additional cast to carry the movie, thus asking for more volunteers. And you know, like I said before, volunteers have their own life, you know, and we can't put too much focus on them. We can't really do anything because all we can do is feed them. But I'd like to say yes. I would hope that after people see what we've done with the testimonials and the sabbatical, they'll be more interested and more willing to act. We're all amateurs here. Everything about this is amateur. So, future Jason, here's hoping that you are doing a good job and you've got more projects going on. Nerve-wracking, shaking, I'd like to say panic attacks. You can see them in my my videos. I was stuttering, I was sweating. It's hard for me to do that, to just go up to somebody and put yourself out there, you know, hey, you know, I'm an amateur, this is my brother, we're amateurs, we're trying to make a movie, you know, do you mind giving us some time, do you mind trying to do this with us? You know, now that I'm thinking about it, you know, I'm shaking. I got a few, you know, got a few no's, and eventually I started feeling good about it, and my words, my approach got better, you know, and the stuttering got less and less, but it was probably one of the worst experiences for me in the beginning because, oh, the physical anguish was unbearable. Yes, they are in pre-production right now. I think it's two stories for me. 2 of them are web series. One of them is called Super Theo and Monster Joy. It's based on a game that my kids have been imagining since one of the cruises we went on, where they're running around, they're fighting each other, you know, blah blah blah. It's their title, and I just had to take that. And originally it was supposed to be just like a comic book. And I said, well, my kids started seeing what I was doing with this film, with the trailers, and they're like, well, Daddy, make stuff for us. So I bought some sci-fi stuff, and it's gonna be an interesting look at sci-fi web series based on them. Of course, me and Christopher will be in it to add some meat to it, you know, to play gods that are gonna be, you know, pulling the strings. But that's one. Another one is it's called Adnell's Crappy But Funny Show. There's no real premise. It's just going to be a random webisode series where the main character is Adnell Sinclair, who's one of my coworkers, funny guy, and we have a group. We call it the Cookie Club, or the Melting Pot Crew, and he usually gets, I would say, he's their punching bag. It's a bunch of women, and when they're not punching him, they're kind of punching on me, but usually they're punching on him. They usually says stuff that's out of context, and then they just harp on him. So I said, hey, listen, what about, you know, filming scenes, you know, with you and our coworkers, and how they basically tear you apart, but then you keep coming back for more. So that's the concept for the most part of Adnell's show. Oh, and my brother's doing some kind of high school day story, which the most I know about it thus far is that I made a title screen for it, and that's about it. It was probably the most difficult thing I've done thus far. The amount of multitasking needed to do all of that, to go from being behind the camera, being in front of the camera, putting other people in front of the camera, then extracting the video, putting it on your computer, editing, extracting, music, soundtrack. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. It's fun. I won't lie to you, it is fun, and time flies by really fast. But I've come to an understanding of why some actors actually shift from being in front of the camera to being behind the camera. I've found a new appreciation for directors and for the whole movie making process completely, because it really is difficult. But when everything comes together, it does come together. If I want to do anything differently, I am not going to be in front of the camera anymore. It's just easier that way.